Welcome to A Life More Wild. I'm Christopher Wilson-Elms from Canopy and Stars, and this is our podcast taking you into the great outdoors, helping you connect with nature. Later on, we're going to hear from the man who stuck a camper van to a bus to create an amazing place in the Lake District. But first, we're walking and humming a bit with Billie Marten. Billie is a singer-songwriter who takes her inspiration from nature.
But it's always been attached to my writing, and it always will, so I'm really glad that I've got that tag, because not many people get that, and that's nice.
She's going to take us on a walk down the Lee River in East London to show us how she still connects with the wild, even in the city.
Nice, isn't it? Dragonfly. We're heading into the Hackney filter beds, which are essentially large sunken rectangles that they used in the 1800s to sort of eradicate cholera, which I think is really clever. And there's something about the sediment of the ground that kind of helped sift out the disease. And they've now become so overgrown and tired and whimsical that they're just enormous nature reserves, which I think is wonderful. And I get to walk here every day. So coming here, one of my best friends, Katie, who does all the artwork and visuals for the music, we come here every week and walk two dogs that aren't ours. And she's unbelievably good at finding these kind of magical nature symbols within London. She's a magpie. And she's also a great spirit for appreciation, which I think is quite rare. And we like to get in the river, which we're not supposed to do. So apparently we're going to gain extra fingers and toes, and it's not great in there. I didn't know that at the time, but now they put signs up and everything. We actually shot most of the artwork in here. I covered myself in mud, brushed my teeth with it, and, really got in nature, which was the point. And my other friend Lydia did the video for Garden of Eden, which was basically footage I was collecting without knowing in lockdown, just on my phone, of anything that I thought was beautiful. And she was doing the same. She was in Brussels at the time, and we just have these immense phone calls trying to put together this vision with, no money and no cameras and nothing. So it was a great, little exercise in understanding that that's possible, and I think that was what lockdown was for loads of us. It's kind of just the realisation of what you do and don't need. When I first started writing songs, we were living in and around Ripon and kind of villages and in the city itself. And there was not a lot else to write about, so it was really the only thing I could try and note down. And I was listening to a lot of Nick Drake, and he's got some beautiful lyrics about colour and light and nature, and he was very good at crossing over that melancholic feeling with nature. And I just really resonated with that massively. It was like how my brain worked and what I thought every day. So that was good to know that I had, another brain that did that. And I just started, writing about my surroundings and linking it back to myself, which is kind of what every writer does. Do you wanna go to the aquarium? I feel I lately wanna drown. We'll sit down, stare out, shut up and swim around. Sometimes there's nothing sound. I am too bold without them. I'm too cold without them. I need friends and I want lovers. Couldn't count on any others. Today, listen, would you come down to the garden? Hide away in moonflowers and the moss. They say I am greener in my garden, the place I am cradled from the chaos. I am too bold without them. I am too cold without them. I need friends and I want lovers. Couldn't count on any others. For me, it's just like nature is kind of, it's a sigh of communication, and it's just, for me, it evokes those kind of pent-up emotions, and they're usually not negative, but it's catharsis and it's comfort in blue, which I just really resonated with at the age I was, which was 13, 14, and feeling a little weird and trying to express my views to the world and desperately failing. So I kind of accidentally fell into music through this YouTube channel called On Sofa, which is a great way for unsigned artists to get something professionally recorded on the internet. But it was purely accidental, and something mad happened with that video. People from London found it, and then they started talking to me. And it was months and months, if not years, of conversation, and I signed a development deal when I was 14. And that was a couple of years of basically experimenting musically and meeting people in the industry and writing and trying out production and doing little regional gigs to get me going. Then I signed with Test Club Records, who are off the back of Sony, when I was 16. And then I put out my first record, Writing of Blues and Yellows, when I was 17. There was quite a story sort of painting me in this kind of whimsical waif-like tree nymph thing, which was not true. But that's how people like to describe women in music, because they have to be kind of mythical and mysterious and, tiny, like birds. And it's the way people describe women in books as well. And to be fair to them, I was incredibly young and vulnerable and quiet. So that's fair, but maybe they went a bit too far. But nature, you are vulnerable in it, but it doesn't mean that you're a vulnerable character. You can stand your ground at the same time in life ways. But it's always been attached to my writing, and it always will. So I'm really glad that I've got that tag, because not many people get that, and that's nice. And you can evolve still, and you're not necessarily tied to a specific character. But if in the past I have written a lot about mental health, and I have SAD disorder and depression and anxiety and all of that stuff, and in the past, if you mention that even once, you then become, poster girl for that, which I'm not. Whereas with nature, I'm glad to be a poster girl for that. So it will constantly be a source of inspiration. It's ever evolving, and as are you. But it was something that I was very protective over, and There's nothing else that does as good a job as this, and it's there for you all the time. It's completely non-judgmental. You could be anyone in it, and it accepts you, so that's nice. This one's about a particular frustrating time for me living in London. It was getting increasingly difficult to find those aspects of calm and freedom in nature. And it felt to me like everybody was obsessed with the idea of competition. And that is something that a plant does to stay alive and become alive. And it was just an idea I had, kind of thinking about all of us growing up in a greenhouse and not having space or light or water to move and live, and we're just constantly obsessed with the idea of being the tallest flower or the ripest tomato, and then in doing that we're not actually doing the living and the feeling part. So I wanted to tie all of that into appreciation for living, which is what the chorus is, and understanding that once we have the things that we need, we can, live as normal and be appreciative of it. So, born into a nursery, I've been growing leaf by leaf, dying for the world to see. Ready, soul is coming over me, greener than the olive tree, riper than you'll ever be. Waiting for the penny drop, asking for the rain to stop. Feet are always getting hot. Competition for the space, nature of the human race. Everything will be replaced. Eat the sun and water up to be someone. Can't get enough. I wanna feel alive. Garden of eternal sunshine. This is the river on our left. Some amazing kingfishers in there. Maybe we'll get one. Also some really majestic herons. And they're my favourite. It's kind of the end of London, so everything's very calm and still. But this has ultimately come from the Thames, which is why we're not supposed to go in it. But today it's beautiful and clear and tranquil. This is actually our swim spot. This is where we let go. Booming louder by the hour, separate the sweet and sour. I am hungry for the power. Eat the sun and water up. Give me some, can't get enough. I wanna feel alive. Garden of eternal sunshine. In my garden I sleep through the day, soaking waves like it's food for the mind. There's no place I would rather escape. Look at me, I'm we go. Pick a subject that you're really into. Write loads of songs about it. And you could talk about it for the rest of your life.
Billie Marten, chatting and playing on Hackney Marshes. Now, who knows where inspiration comes from? A few random connections in your mind, a timely word or a chance encounter can lead you off on a path you'd never have imagined. Few of us, though, however inspired, would have come up with John and Hannah's incredible fusion of a camper van and a school bus that they call Hinterlandes. So give us an idea of where Hinterlandes comes from. What's the idea behind it? What starts it all off?
So we're based in the northwest of the Lake District in a valley called the Lawton Valley. A bit quieter than the rest of the Lake District, but probably even more beautiful. You wouldn't normally be able to stay at the top of a mountain or down near a lake. So I had the idea of making these cabins on trailers and they move to different locations. So at the moment we've got the larger cabin down by a river in some woods. We've got the bus halfway up a fell, and we've got the little cabin literally at the top of a fell looking down the valley towards the lake.
Have you got a particular favourite?
Well, at the moment where the little cabin is, that's like right at the top. So the guests at the little cabin at the moment will be getting the best view of the year because it'll have to move down slightly shortly, but it's as high as it'll be at the moment.
Are all the locations really remote? Because that would be amazing, just waking up in the middle of the Lake District on your own.
Totally remote. So you're not on a farm, you're not close to any buildings, you're not close to anybody else's house, or you're not close to another cabin. The only person would be like a stray walker or something.
Describe, if you can, the setup of Hinterlandes, the bus.
Yeah, so the bus is a short American school bus, and then we've got half a VW camper on the top, which forms a sort of bedroom area. So the two are welded together. Basically, you've got your living space downstairs, and then there's a bedroom upstairs, and there's a little winch. When you're downstairs, you can winch the ladder back up. The ladder took a lot of thought. There's lots of little pulleys and cables and things to get that ladder to go up and down. The living space downstairs, there's a little shower area, which is, we tried to give it the feel of like, as if you're at home really. So the shower area, there's a thermostatic shower, it's clad in marble. There's a little compost loo with a little sink. There's some little bench sofas. There's 2 wood-burning stoves. One of those is like an Aga that you can cook off as well. Yeah, it's got to be the only bus with an Aga in. A lot of the materials we used were reclaimed. So we've got door handles from a hotel in London. We've got old bar doors on the shower and the bathroom. We've got cupboard doors from, I think it's the Victoria Albert Museum. Loads of little reclaimed things, brass bulkhead lights off ships.
So what do you think gets the biggest reaction from the people who stay there? The location or the bus?
I think it's part of the whole thing, really. I mean, all the accommodation, generally speaking, you have to have a bit of a walk to it. So we generally say to people, pack light-ish, because there is a little bit of a walk. We'll tell them how far it is. But yeah, so obviously walking up, people get an idea about the space and the view. So that I guess there's a bit of a build-up as to somewhere you would just drive up and park next to it. Especially with the little cabin on the top. It's a good 20-minute hike up there, and you're with backpacks. You walk up through woods, through fields, and then there's quite a steep climb. So in particular with that one at the moment, there's a sort of sense of achievement, I guess, at the end. You've got a big hike up, and then you arrive at your accommodation and the view's insane. So yeah, although the cabin's nice and things, I think it's just a balance between the two.
So what was the thinking behind doing those 3 spaces rather than, say, a normal B&B?
With moving them about, you can be up near a waterfall, you can be down by the side of a lake, you can be at the top of a fell. So you can get to these locations that, you wouldn't normally be able to be, and you can stay in relative luxury. I mean, I don't really like using that term because they're not luxurious, but they've got everything you need. But there's no TVs or anything like that because you want to sort of be close to nature. And we've got an Aga, we've got wood burning stoves. Some people like to chop the wood. They're totally off grid, and that whole feel, we didn't want to lose that with too many niceties.
Well, like you say, in terms of luxury, the only other way to get to those locations would be to carry a tent on your back. Luxury,
I think I was reading it in one of these books, but luxury is sort of the simple things, really. You kind of realise what the luxuries are when you sort of strip your life back a little bit, and so luxuries become chopping wood to make heat, to heat the bus or heat the cabin, or fresh water, or a fridge to cool food. Those things, when you're in that exposed environment, become luxuries. It's like the simple things become. And probably, when we're at home now, living in the house I'm in, a lot of those things they don't even mean anything to me anymore. They're not apparent. But if you're in the cabin or you're in the bus, those simple things, when it's cold, it's not just a case of flipping a button, or it's the heat's on when you get in. You've got to chop the wood and and light the fire. And when that's hot, that becomes a luxury, if you know what I mean.
I've always found that when I go away to Canopy and Stars places, and sometimes you think, what am I going to do for 3 days? And then when you get there and you realise, actually, you don't need to do anything, because just kind of keeping things ticking over is so sort of absorbing in a lovely way.
When I was first working on the bus, so we rented our house out for a year, and we stayed in the bus, and we still talk about how that was the best period of our life to date, because living in the bus in the middle of nowhere was just, the whole process just slows your life down. If you need heat, you've got to sort the wood out, light the fires. We had to strip back on everything, so we hardly had anything at the bus. We just had the absolute basics because there isn't a huge amount of space. There were no quick meals sort of thing. We cooked everything from scratch, and everything just slowed down. Life was a lot calmer. We played board games. We built a little vegetable patch. We grew our own vegetables. Yeah, it was just like the good life, I guess. I mean, it was just being in that environment, you just naturally slow down. Whereas, at home, you've got the computer on the go all the time, the phone's going, you can hear people outside, there's people knocking at the door. It's just there's a sort of constant buzz in the background at home for us. But when we were there, everything just filtered out.
And that remoteness, I think, being able to get people out, like away from everything, is just brilliant.
Yeah, it's a total escape. If you didn't want to see another person for the week that you were there or whatever, you wouldn't see another person. Some people come on their own to stay. They get a bit sort of a bit nervous sometimes, just that there's no one there in case. But we travel about in a little buggy and things, doing jobs. And they've said it's nice to just sort of see somebody other than sheep and cows. We get different types of people. There's people that are very active. They bring bikes, paddle boards. I don't think they spend much time at the cabin and things at all. But there's other people that will go to the cabin or the bus and they won't leave. That's them. Some people just come in, they bring a load of books, they want to read, they want to relax, finish off a book they're writing, and they just want some peace to just do that. That was actually just a local person 10 minutes away. They literally just wanted somewhere to go to finish a book, and they just wanted solitude. It's a mix of people for a lot of different reasons, but I think the locations offer quite a lot, quite a lot of freedom for people. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for A Life More Wild. I'm sure that's got your creative juices flowing, and if you want to hear more of Billie's music or book a stay and see Hinterlands for yourself, you can find out how in the episode notes. You can also find out where to buy our book and join us on Instagram at Canopy and Stars. Remember to hit that follow button in your podcast app so you can catch all the other episodes. And until next time, stay wild.